Welcome to Patty's Place, a place where we will talk about grief, dementia, and caregiving. I'm your host, Lisa. I've dedicated this podcast to my mom, who passed away from dementia about 2.5 years ago. So I just want you to know you're not alone in all of these things that are going on. So grab your cup of tea, your cup of coffee. If you're having that really bad day, maybe a glass of wine, and we're going to get talking today. So today I'm very excited about our guest. He is singer-songwriter and Reimagine founder Brad Wolfe, and he's going to talk about his recent single and all kinds of fun stuff that you do, Brad. Welcome to Patty's Place.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate being here and here to honor your mom and everyone's experiences.
Yes. And I listened to your single "Why Wait," which is by Brad Wolfe and the Moon. That's a really cool video I watched on YouTube. We'll put the link in there too with that. So let's talk about that song first. So that was inspired for your grandma. Was that correct?
Yeah. My grandma lived an incredible life. She lived to 102
Wow.
and recently passed away. I think a big part of her life's impact on me was the fact that she grew up in Poland and was a prisoner in Auschwitz and some other concentration camps during World War II. And hearing the stories of the horrific experiences that she went through as a young person. She was 19 and cared for her two younger sisters after her parents were killed through those experiences. Some of those stories were just both heartbreaking and also showed me the resilience of humans and our desire for life. And Why Wait is a song about not waiting to live with what matters in our hearts. And she really showed me the preciousness of life and what that really means. What does it really mean to not wait? And yeah, one of the things that she said that's at the beginning of the video, she said, I believe people should be tolerant of other religions and other races because we're only here for a short while. Somehow, because of our impermanence, for her, that showed her that's why we should be kind. And there's something about death and loss and serious illness that it's a rupture in our lives when something traumatic happens to us, but we have the opportunity during those ruptures to turn toward kindness, to not wait, to love. And so, yeah, that's what the song "Why Wait" is about. I wrote it for her, and I actually filmed me playing it for her the first time when she heard it, and it eventually became this music video after she's now passed away.
Yeah, and I watched the whole video. It was very good. I really liked it. And it's so true what your grandma said, that when you're having those ruptures, to be able to turn to kindness, because I have found that it seems like when these things happen, kindness doesn't always come out in everybody.
I'm about to speak at the American Psychological Association and debut a new framework that Reimagine's been working on that really undergirds our work as a nonprofit organization, which is about kind grief versus destructive grief. That people say, there's no wrong way to grieve, which is true. There's no wrong emotion. We want to be able to be with and be okay with where we are. There's no pressure to grow. But what we see time and again is that out of our pain, there can be some negative, destructive outcomes, self-harm, harming one another, ways that pain can shoot out in community and even on a broader global scale. Grief sits beneath a lot of our division and a lot of our pain. So how do we tend toward our grief in ways that move it from out of this destructive category toward kindness? kindness to ourselves and kindness to others. And if that's the fundamental place that grief can move us, which I think it has the potential to do,
Mm-hmm.
the world could be different through our own pain.
That is very true. It really is. So let's talk about, you have you mentioned Reimagine. It's your nonprofit foundation. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Reimagine's really a space for people of all backgrounds
Mm-hmm.
to find free community support that's engaging
Mm-hmm.
and through the hard parts of life. So we've hosted over 5,000 virtual events
Oh,
of
okay.
all kinds, where people of all backgrounds, as I mentioned, maybe you're interested in uh, in movements, maybe you're interested in dance, maybe you're interested in learning in a session, maybe you're interested in just mourning, maybe you're interested in peer connection. There's so many types of events that are happening all the time on our platform
Mm-hmm.
that you can join for free, where you meet other people or even sit there and soak in what someone's talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
just to not be alone, but also potentially be an active participant with other people who understand what you're going through, but with the idea that um, not just about kind of sitting in the same cycle of our moroseness per se, but
Right.
what do we do? What do we do with our pain, and how do we transmute it into creativity, into kindness, into acts of love, into small acts of self-care to make it okay to navigate our pain in these healthy ways? So we have these events that I'm telling you about. We've helped over 250,000 people through these experiences, and we're just releasing a new platform that's like a new social media platform,
Mm-hmm.
where the root of the platform is navigating our painful moments, but in ways that generate more connection, more kindness, more small sweet steps towards positive actions in the world, where people are creating something out of their pain.
And I think that's a wonderful idea, because sometimes I don't think people realize, well, obviously, grief takes many different roads and different emotions and that. But sometimes by being creative or being in a group or doing something simple that your loved one used to love to do, that you are still processing your grief. And it's a good way to come together. And I think people get overwhelmed sometimes when they hear like group settings, but you don't always have to say anything. Sometimes, like you said, if you're a doer and you like to, you're a hands-on person, there you are. You can like create things and you're being part of a group and you don't feel alone.
Yeah, I mean, and part of the platform we're building is you don't even have to be public. You don't have to be even
Hmm.
show up. You don't have to see anybody else. We're trying to find ways in for people to find their own path, but
Hmm.
enough available paths that meet us all where we are. But to your point about creating something, there's a lot of power in that, and learning that and practicing that, and saying, hey, out of my pain, what we try to help people do is figure out what's possible for me now.
Hmm.
What are my dreams now? Because I can look at my life and say, oh, this was a hard moment in my life, this is a painful moment, but now what? And if we can support each other toward finding those now whats that really matter to us, um, that's the kind of the name of the game, because we can't necessarily go back to the same place where things were
Hmm.
before, because things are different. So where are we going to go? And that's where we have some agency, but it's hard to because grief is overwhelming and pain is overwhelming. So, or it makes us want to go numb. And so how do we overcome that together? And to your point about um, when you engage with this, there's a lot of pressure in our culture just to get over it,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
get over it and get back to work, get back to whatever I was doing.
Hmm.
By the time the funeral happens, it's like, oh, all right, now that's over. Now the year mark is done. It's like, move on. But the
Yeah.
fact is, we can be honoring our loved ones. We can be honoring that experience, um, for the rest of our lives, because that experience of losing somebody or of some kind of pain that we go through, those experiences do stay with us our whole lives,
Yes, they
whether or
do.
not we talk about it or not. So we better to actually continually find ways to integrate those experiences in our lives in ways that feel good and are healthy for us, and for those we care about in an ongoing basis, in honoring the people that we love continually through our actions and through our words and through our deeds, and with support from others who are with us, we can actually make that relationship even stronger, make our relationship with ourselves stronger, and make our relationship with others stronger. So there's so much beauty that can come from these painful places.
And so, how can creativity help us process our emotions?
So, I think what it is that our emotions want an outlet. They crave an outlet. We know this because if we try to keep them in,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't usually work.
No, it doesn't.
And so then what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Then one option is it comes out,
Mm-hmm.
but it can come out as expression in ways that are not good. Me yelling at my wife, or me not being as patient with somebody that I care about. These are things, I don't, we all deal with we all get angry, we all get sad, we all have these emotions, but how do we respond? Creativity, and I want to say that creativity doesn't just have to be art. It could be
Right.
all forms of expression. But if we can channel our pain and let it come out in a direction that is generative, that is positive, and there's so many pathways for that. That's beautiful. And so that's where I think creativity is one of those vectors, and it's something we all have access to in terms of singing. It's like, yeah, we can all sing in the shower, we can all sing in the car, we can all listen to music. And even just being with music, for example, is just one outlet we have. But so is going for a walk in nature is creative. So is
Mm-hmm.
picking out the outfit that we wear in the day. We're creative just by getting through the day, because we have to make all these choices. And as humans, man, those are creative choices.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't, like you said, doesn't necessarily have to be art. It could be, playing with the dog, being around little kids, or like you said, walking in nature, any of those things, gardening, all that stuff could be creative.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so reimagine, what we help people do is we help people figure out, do I want to make a garden?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to take a walk in nature? Do I want to write a song? Do I want to repair a broken relationship? And once we help people figure out what they want to do, then we help support them in literally taking small, sweet steps towards their dreams. And in that way, we're all, that's what it really means to be, I think, kind of a hero through our own journey. It's just, what are we creating in the world out of what's hard?
And how does music heal us during our darkest times?
I now have a 9-month-old daughter.
Okay.
And playing music for Brielle, I see the way that music is so deeply connected to just being alive. I mean, I can play her music, and when we get to the chorus of a song, she'll pick up a rattle and start shaking it along, and her body will be moving and dancing to the music, and it makes her so happy. So there's something about music. I don't know if it's spiritual, I don't know if it's science, I don't know what it is, but there's something deep about it that is connecting, that brings us into our bodies, that makes us present with the moment when we're really listening and paying attention. And it's the vibrations, it's the voice, and so I mean, I think it is healing. Music is healing. When there's words attached to it, when you're making it, that's another level too. It's like then you're sharing something creative with somebody else, whether it's a playlist. But there's something about being together and sharing music, that is part of I go to a walk down the street the other day, and there was a festival taking place in the streets, and it was one of these things where they have these silent discos,
Oh.
where people are listening to music, but you can't hear the music. They're just listening, and everyone's bodies are kind of moving. And it reminded me so much of my daughter. It's like they're moving the exact same way, just wanting to kind of pulsate their bodies. And these really I've kind of felt like an alien looking at them, but it was just, wow, look at how music just makes people want to move and be together. So I think there's something in that, in being together, in slowing down and connecting and being present. And I think it's the same thing. It's like just being present with somebody
Mm-hmm.
is, is a form of almost the same thing, but that's really hard. Music's almost easier because it already has that beat that slows us down, that connects us. The next level is like, how do we learn just to be with each other in silence and appreciate the silence? That's hard too.
Well, and it is something too, because with my mom having dementia, we had a music therapist come in for her when she had hospice. And it was amazing because the first time the music therapist came in, the next day, the caregivers like couldn't wait to tell me that my mom went to a party. She wasn't leaving the room. She went to the party. She was talking. And then the one time I was there with the music therapist, she didn't know who I was, but she remembered the words to My Girl.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
What was that like?
I was like sitting there and she just was singing along, to him. But my mom always loved music. She always connected very deeply with it. And she had certain songs that she loved to play with it because, she'd say certain artists knew pain. That's why she loved him so much and stuff.
I mean, that's the thing. And when
Yeah.
there's artists know pain, I mean, what your mom is saying,
Mm-hmm.
what is she really saying is like that. I connect to that person. That
Yes.
person was able to express something in my heart that connects with me, and I feel less alone.
Mm-hmm.
I feel connected, and music has that property. I've played music now. I've had the opportunity to play music for people at the end of their life on a number of occasions, and it really is so special. You can see the way that music impacts that person.
Mm-hmm.
It can impact the other people in the room. Like now you have this memory of your mom and music. You can now listen to that song My Girl and feel something and remember what that song means. And it's a way of connecting that heals all of us.
Well, she was a big Barry Manilow fan. And so she had years before she had told me what song she wanted played at the service. So like that last week before she died, I played a lot of the artists and songs that I knew she'd like. And, I knew she heard it, she was in the bed and everything. She wasn't really moving, but I knew she heard it. And I always know that brought her happiness. And I always think too, sometimes I'm driving along and I'll be like listening to an older station and then boom, there'll be a Barry Manilow song come on, or there'll be like, she loved Gary Lewis and the Playboys from the 60s, so that song will come on and I'll be like, okay, I know she's saying hi to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's so special. It's so special. And I think what you did by finding out and somehow the two of you connecting around what songs meant something to her, where you could then use those songs at that time is really special. There's a lot of research to show that hearing is in fact the last sound to go,
Mm-hmm.
or the last sense to go before we die. And so it makes you think, yeah, what do I want to hear? What does someone that I care about? What would be the nice sound to say goodbye with?
Yeah, exactly. I always knew what music she liked and everything. So that's why I figured that I'd play that for her because I've heard the research that it's the last of the hearing to go, for her. But yeah, I think that music helps so much with the creativity. Or if somebody likes to paint or draw, like let them do all that, to
I
help.
mean, not even let them. Let's just like encourage it. Let's
Hey.
make some music. It's like, yeah, people are afraid, in our culture, it's like we're so judgmental as a culture that of course it's scary to be creative or to
Mm-hmm.
think I can draw, but just a doodle,
Yeah.
just get your hand moving, get your body shaking, get your voice singing, like any of those things. If we can do it and not judge ourselves and have some self-compassion, just trying that is so freeing.
Well, and too, even when you're in that caregiving mode, sometimes, like for me, it was as simple as, coloring. Even doing a coloring app, it like calmed my mind down, to just focus on these little things. And it's being creative, for whatever it
Yeah.
is to help with that. So I noticed on your website for the Reimagine, you have Reimagine End of Life Festival. Is that, did I understand that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't hosted one for a bit.
Okay.
But the way our organization started is we hosted these large scale citywide festivals called Reimagine End of Life,
Okay.
uh, where we would have literally like 300 events across the city
Oh, wow.
in a week. And they would be at comedy clubs,
Okay.
but also hospitals
Mhm.
and in graveyards and even in a city hall, or in art galleries. It was like we tried to make sure that there were events in all the public spaces and
Mhm.
private spaces that made up a city where people could get together and somehow create a space that related to the people that were there, uh, to open up dialogue about these hard topics, but in ways that were often creative and could bring people in and meet people where they were at. Maybe it's laughing about it in comedy. Maybe it's a conversation with nurses in the hospital. Like I said, maybe it's dancing in City Hall with millennials and senior citizens. These are the kinds of things that we were putting on together.
Yeah.
And now we've gone mostly into these virtual experiences, so people all across the country
Mhm.
and the world can participate. And so coming up on October 15th this year, we're having a large scale summit that's free, called Grief in Our Times, and it's a place where we can explore the creative expression and make some meaning together out of our personal pain
Mhm.
that we're all experiencing, and also some of the collective pain that we're all in.
I think that's great. I mean, sometimes I think people uh, don't always want to laugh, but I think laughter is good with it because that's remembering different things about your loved one. And sometimes I will tell stories about my mom, or other people tell stories about her, and that, and it makes me laugh. I'm like, man, she can come out with these lines sometimes. We'd be like, and you have to, and I feel like it brings you comfort, it brings you closer to them too when you're able to laugh with it.
Oh, I mean, I think laughter is so important, and I think part of it is, I mean, what this is what I've learned by being in these like 5,000 events talking about death. People aren't really talking about death for very long.
No. Mm-mm.
Honestly, what people end up talking about, and this is what's so beautiful and engaging and creative and life affirming about them, is that people end up talking about things that make us laugh, things that make us feel love, things that make us feel connected, the memories that we have of things in our past, the fears that we have, but things that actually are quite um, they're not morbid in the least. They're actually the
No.
the, the most life giving, and I think laughter um, is one of those things. Just like music, it's like beautiful things, funny things, loving things, joyful things are all coming out of the hardest places. And so, yeah, we don't need to censor ourselves around laughing.
No, because a lot of times people, you had some really good stories, and that's what you want to remember. You don't really want to remember, especially um, when they've been sick, or even like I remember my mom with the dementia, but then I also remember how she was before she was sick. But then I've also learned to appreciate the time I had with her in those moments of when she had her, when she was sick with dementia, because like I was able, the one thing that people with dementia teach you is to be in that moment, because that's the only
How
thing
did
they know.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's so profound. And a lot of there's this comedian that I love named Chris Garcia, and um his father had dementia,
Mhm.
and a lot of his comedy, it's so sweet, honestly, it's so loving,
Mhm.
uh but a lot of it, or some of it at least, is him talking about some of these funny things
Mhm.
and interactions that happened through dementia, that were different, his, like what the remote became in the house. I think it was like,
Oh, yeah. It was a phone. It was all kinds of stuff. And my mom was in a memory care facility. And I mean, sometimes when you'd hear two different residents with dementia start talking, you had to not laugh in front of them because they were serious. But it was funny because you have to go with it, but
exactly.
they're in that moment, and 2 minutes later, they'll be talking about something else. And you just got to follow along what they're talking about, you know.
I mean, he shared the story about how his dad tried to reseduce his mom, like she was she was another woman, but he was like seducing her, and it was like so hilarious.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because my mom didn't know who my dad was anymore either. So it was like,
yeah.
yeah, with all those different things for it.
So life is just life has all that, there's something, maybe it's bittersweetness. I don't know what that emotion is, but it's like, yeah, it's sad, obviously, and painful that the person that you knew is and was functioning in this other way is no longer functioning with their full capabilities in the way that we knew. And now there are these new ways of interacting. And it's sad to miss those other interactions that we used to have. And that's the grief part. But yet we can still find some joy in who we are right now in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I hear, that's what laughter helps us do, because laughter is like when you're laughing, yeah, you can't be, it's hard to be laughing and not be present.
That's very true. So, what are some other ways we can foster more communal processes for processing grief? Like different ways we can do that.
Yeah, I think there's really three main ways.
Mm-hmm.
The first is being self-compassionate.
Mm.
I
Okay.
mean, I sometimes when we're in pain and we if we get angry or we get sad, it's like maybe you're like, oh, I should be feeling something else. I should
Mm-hmm.
be somewhere else. But to be compassionate that we're not always going to show up as our best selves all the time, like that's okay. And that helps us slow down and kind of not blame one another and not blame ourselves. And by treating ourselves with self-compassion, we can learn more about self-compassion for others. We already talked about, so there's how, self-compassion is about how we treat ourselves, and there's how we treat others in our pain. It's, can we do acts of kindness? Can we do an act of service even when we're in pain? Can we show up and try to be kind somewhere else through our creative expression or through an action that we take, and see how that makes us feel? And even in that vein, sharing your story
Mm-hmm.
is a form of an act of service. So I think like what you're doing on this podcast, sharing your story, I know it's healing for all of us, but I assume there's also some healing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I learn things all the time from the guests and that, and it is healing in the sense that I feel comfort in knowing that I feel close to my mom, and that my mom was a caregiver, and people always came and talked to her about things. And she had a lot of tragedy in her life. She had a lot of people that were sick and things like that, and she always tried to help them through grief and in the illness and that. So yeah, I do. I feel healing in the sense that I know it's something she would want to help people with because she always tried
And
to.
yeah, and that's so life affirming. And what's happening is by what you're doing, you're helping so many other people. So there's something about sharing our stories that has that impact. So that's another thing we can do. The third is, if say you're not feeling in deep grief right now, or
Mm-hmm.
even if you are, how do you show up for somebody else that's in pain?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so being a wise witness to somebody else's experience, and what wise witnessing, I mean acknowledging the state that they're in, being able to sit with it, be able to say, are not shy away from being with them and talking about the thing that they're going through. Because the thing that we Reimagine just ran a big survey, and the top two reasons people say it's hard to show up for somebody is, I don't know what to say,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm scared I might say the wrong thing.
Yep.
Um, and maybe there isn't, no right thing always to say, but it's better to say something than say nothing. It's better to care than not care. So if we just tilt toward caring and towards showing up and witnessing somebody else and being with them and not injecting our own feelings, but just being with theirs, that's a really beautiful thing to do.
Exactly. And I like that you said wise witness. I like that. That's a good one.
What is that? Tell me what you think about what that brings up for you, or like what you like about it.
I like it because you're not trying to tell somebody what to do or how to feel. You're trying to be in that moment with that person, and then also, like you said, be wise and try to figure out where are they, because sometimes people just need to vent. They don't want you to fix it. They just want you to listen and validate what they're feeling. Maybe they're just feeling really sad for a minute, or maybe they're just overwhelmed, and they just want you to listen. And, because I always find sometimes people want to fix it. Oh, we'll do this, this, or this. And you're like, okay, now you've overwhelmed me even more,
Yeah. And so I think that's a good one. It's like, do you want, or you can say, I'm going to try just to listen right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you want some advice, I'm happy to provide some thoughts, but right now I'm going to try just to listen. How would that, let's try that. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah. And sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, there's nothing that I can say that's going to make you feel better, but I'm here, and sometimes you feel like, yeah, you're right. There isn't anything, but I'm glad I know you're here, because I think when you're grieving and you're a caregiver, you have a hard time asking for your needs because you just feel lost with things.
And I think I appreciate what you just said. You said when you're grieving and you're a caregiver,
Mm-hmm.
It's like what I'm hearing is both sides are hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're caregiving, when you're in pain, it's hard to ask for help, and
Mm-hmm.
when you're a caregiver, it's hard to ask. Everybody is we can get into this place of tiptoeing around and nobody's saying what they need.
Mm-hmm.
It's also hard to know what we need.
Exactly.
And so being okay with all of that is kind of part of the challenge.
Right, because everybody's always like, tell me, let me know if you need anything. And you're like, I don't know what it is I need. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it becomes hard. And so it kind of goes back to self-compassion. But even then, sometimes you just feel so overwhelmed or lost. You're like, I don't know. And even just to be able to say, you know what? I need to take a nap. That's what I need to do right now. And that's hard too.
Yeah. And if it is, but I think what's nice about the taking a nap thing is if you in your mind can say, hey, I will be better for other people if I take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I can count myself as a better person, that would be next level, saying like, oh, I can be better to myself if I take a nap. But it's sometimes it helps us in our brains realize that some things that might seem just about us are actually can be for others. And that gives us permission to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, taking a nap is a beautiful act of service,
Mm-hmm.
often
Yeah.
in the area of our pain, because it refreshes us and allows us to then interact differently with all the people in our lives. And it's an act of self-compassion. So that's an act that's both self-compassionate, but it can also be an act of pro-social expression.
Mm-hmm.
Toward others, because by caring for ourselves, we can then better care for others.
Exactly. And sometimes it's hard to remember that when you're going through all of this, like you said, with the self-compassion. So if somebody's interested in one of your Reimagine events or your website or that, how can they get to it?
Sure. Yeah. So just go to letsreimagine.org.
Okay.
And you'll find all of that there, letsreimagine.org, or on the social channels, Let's Reimagine, on Instagram or on Facebook. You can find us there. And then, you can find my music at Brad Wolfe, WOLFE, bradwolfe.com. And you'll hear all these songs I've been recently releasing that are that's my own expression of through my own
Mm-hmm.
kind of journey, where I found a lot of healing, which I don't necessarily need to release to anybody to find that healing. But again, to the extent that if anyone's helped or connected with the music, it's kind of a way of all of us paying it forward.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So I'll make sure that we put those on our page so people can click on as well as the video for Why Wait too. So people can
Thank
click
you
on it.
so much.
And I know you said you have an event coming up in October. People can join in too.
Yeah. That's at summit.letsreimagine.com. You'll find that. I'll share the link with you, but that's going to be free, and I think there'll be like 1,000 or so people joining from across the world. We have spaces for you, and you'll meet so many people. You'll see so many people in a very low pressure environment. There's like, I think 30 to 50 sessions that you can select from.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Anything you are interested in, you'll be able to find with experts and authors and musicians and spiritual leaders and all kinds of very interesting, compassionate people that are all coming together to try to create more kindness through the hard parts of life.
And we definitely need more kindness in this world. We really do. With that.
Yeah. I honestly, that's what's been coming up for me a lot lately. I used to think that love was a thing that we needed, which I do think we do need love. But then I started thinking, man, out of love, there's some pretty bad things that have happened in the name of love.
True.
There's like revenge in the name of love. There's killing in the name of love, but you can't really do any of those things in the name of kindness.
That's very true. Yes.
So it made me think that like kind grief is what's so vital, is kindness toward ourselves and toward others. And then, the right kind of love can manifest from there.
That is very, very true. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Brad. And like I said,
thanks for having me.
We'll have all the links on there. So hopefully you have had a very enlightened conversation today. And hopefully you've enjoyed your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, or that glass of wine. And make sure you leave us a review, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we hope you enjoy another episode of Patty's Place.